Let me start today's video with a story of a magnificent palace. Once upon a time, in a vast and prosperous kingdom, there reigned a generous king, renowned far and wide for his wisdom, kindness, and magnanimity. One day, while traveling through his realm, the king came upon a crowded market where a dispute had broken out. A beggar had been accused of stealing a loaf of bread. The scene drew a crowd, and the beggar, gaunt and desperate, knelt before the bread's owner, pleading for mercy. The king, curious, stepped forward and raised his hand to silence the commotion. He looked at the beggar and asked, "Why did you take the bread?" Tears streamed down the beggar's face as he clutched the loaf of bread, his voice thick with bitterness. "Your Majesty," he said, "all my life I have toiled in obscurity, crushed beneath the weight of an unfair world. Tell me, is it destiny, the will of heaven, or mere chance that you stand before me as a king? While I kneel here, a victim of this injustice," the king turned to his attendants and commanded, "Make up the loss of the bread's owner." Then, addressing the crowd, he said, "Disperse and let justice be restored through understanding, not punishment." As the onlookers reluctantly obeyed, the king extended his hand to the beggar, helping him to his feet. "Walk with me," the king said. They walked a short distance away from the crowd, and the king, his tone calm yet probing, asked, "If you could have one wish granted, what would it be?" The beggar, startled, hesitated. "A wish? My wish, if granted, would make me an equal to you. But why would you grant such a thing?" The king smiled. "Make your wish," he said gently. "I will grant it." The beggar, still trembling, finally spoke. "I wish for a palace as grand and magnificent as yours." "Very well," replied the king. Summoning his attendants, he handed the beggar the keys to a majestic palace, a marvel of beauty and grandeur, unmatched in splendor. "This is my gift to you," the king said. "Take it, live in it, and care for it well. This palace is not just a dwelling, it is a treasure beyond measure." The beggar, overwhelmed, fell to his knees. Tears of disbelief and gratitude streamed down his face. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will honor this gift." The king placed a firm hand on the beggar's shoulder. "Remember," he said, "this palace is a reflection of your stewardship. I will return one day to see how you have cared for it." With those words, the king departed. The beggar stood in awe before his new home. The palace was a masterpiece of architecture. Vaulted ceilings reached toward the heavens, adorned with frescoes of unparalleled beauty. Every hall sparkled with the light of golden arches and gem-encrusted mosaics. Streams of crystal-clear water nourished lush gardens that bore fruits and flowers of every kind. Treasure chests overflowed with gold and jewels, their brilliance rivaling the stars. For a time, the beggar wandered the halls in amazement. But as days turned into weeks, his awe faded. The responsibility of maintaining such a grand place weighed on him. He neglected small tasks, convincing himself that a day or two of disregard would do no harm. This indifference grew, and soon the palace fell into disrepair. Dust collected on the once polished floors. The gardens, untended, became overgrown with weeds. Streams choked with debris ceased to flow. Soldiers left the gates unguarded. Strangers came and went, bringing chaos and corruption into its sacred halls. Treasure was squandered on fleeting pleasures, and the beggar's sense of unworthiness deepened. Years passed. One day the generous king returned. As he approached the palace, his heart sank. The walls were crumbling, the gardens barren, and the once lively streams dry. Inside, filth and disorder reigned. Stray animals roamed freely, and the treasures were gone. The king found the beggar in a dark corner of the palace, his once hopeful eyes now clouded with despair. The king's voice was grave but compassionate. "When I first met you, you asked me a question," he said. "You asked if it was destiny, the will of heaven, or mere chance that made me a king, and you a beggar. Let me ask you now. Is it destiny, the will of heaven, or mere chance that this jewel-like palace has turned into ruins?" The beggar looked up, his face a mask of shame and regret. His guilty silence was the loud answer. The king gently placed his hand on his shoulder and somberly spoke. "Kings are kings because they think and act like kings," the king continued. They master what is entrusted to them, build and protect, nurture and expand. Beggars remain beggars because they think and act like beggars. They neglect what is given, fail to protect it, and allow it to fall into ruin. Remember, the palace does not make a king. A king makes palaces. The beggar's head hung low. The king's voice softened but held a stern edge. Do you understand now why I gave you this palace? It was not to make you my equal, but to show you the power of your choices. This palace was a gift, a treasure of unimaginable worth. But look at how you have turned it into a mess. You've let the trivial and vile seep in, polluting its beauty. You've allowed distractions and negativity to fill its halls. Instead of guarding its gates, you've let chaos reign. The beggar's voice trembled. What can I do now? The king's gaze softened. When a king loses his palace, he fights to seize it back. If you believe this palace is truly yours, then reclaim it. Cleanse it of its filth. Guard its gates. Let its halls echo with noble pursuits and enriching ideas. Make it a place of beauty and purpose, worthy of its potential. With these words, the king departed. The beggar, left to his thoughts, resolved to change. He began the arduous task of restoring the palace. He cleared the debris, repaired the walls, and nurtured the gardens back to life. Streams flowed once more, and the air filled with the fragrance of blooming flowers. He guarded its gates, allowing only what was noble and enriching to enter. Over time, the palace regained its glory, a testament to the power of discipline and care. But before all this happened, the beggar had turned himself into a king, in thoughts and actions. This is the story of a palace gifted by a king to a beggar, but it is also a story about every single one of us. Each of us possesses a palace far grander than the one in this tale, a palace unmatched in its worth, beauty, and potential. That palace is your mind. Think of your mind as a magnificent palace, entrusted to you as a gift of unparalleled value. Its chambers are vast, meant to house grand ideas and noble aspirations. It is a space of creativity, thoughts, imaginations, plans, and dreams. Its walls are strong, designed to protect your inner world from the storms of chaos. But here is the question: how are you treating your palace? Are you its diligent steward, or have you let it fall into neglect like the beggar? It is your palace, and you hold the keys to its upkeep. You can make it more beautiful, let in the light of enriching ideas, and adorn its halls with pursuits that inspire growth and purpose. Guard its gates diligently, for every careless intrusion of harmful influences chips away at its splendor. When treated with care, your mind will flourish like a vibrant garden, rewarding you with a life of beauty and prosperity. But neglect it, and it will crumble, leaving behind ruins of wasted potential, no different from the beggar's palace. The choice is yours, as it always has been. Will you reclaim your palace? Will you rise to the challenge of thinking and acting like a king? In the upcoming videos, we'll continue exploring this journey of growth and transformation. Be a part of this positive movement. Hit the subscribe button, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video, where we'll discuss the most fiercely contested space in the universe. Until next time, remember, your palace is waiting for you to make it magnificent.